This is big news on the Social Security program. A group of lawmakers in the House of Representatives have just advanced a bill that would solve the government's major funding issues. However, the bill does not protect programs like Medicare and Social Security. This could affect monthly benefits for millions of Americans. My dear friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video. Also, every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaway friends, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways.
What we're trying to do is use this year to the greatest extent possible for helping people and then to tee up 2025. For example, and Senator Whitehouse knows this in particular because, he is so knowledgeable about the budget, and as we try to, work through these issues, is that we are looking at a 3-year bill. So there will be an opportunity. For example, I very much like the small business provision, the expensing provision, which is getting no coverage, and every progressive small business group likes that. And we're going to be doing that for 3 years. And I very much like the fact that we are embarking on a pro-family policy, because right now, these families, and my understanding is about 70% of the eligible families have more than one child, but they really only get credit for one child for purposes of the reimbursement policy. So when Chairman Whitehouse and I talk about this stuff, you hit yourself in the head and say, how in the world does that make sense? So what we're trying to do is to help people now, but to do smart things that tee everything up for 2025. Ms. Clausing, you've been working in these tax precincts for a long time. What do you see as the key priorities for us going into the 2025 debate? And as you know, you don't have to go into a lot with billionaires for the chairman and I, because we've introduced the billionaire legislation. And Senator Johnson, by the way, has talked to me about this over the years. So if he wants to make a billionaire income tax bipartisan bill, I'm all in. But tell us what you think are the priorities for 2025.
Thank you, Senator Wyden, for that question and for your leadership in this area. 2025, as you know, is such an important year for tax policy. And as I mentioned earlier, the price tag for a carte blanche extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is $4 trillion if you include the business provisions that are already starting to bite. So I think my first priority for 2025 would be that we have to take serious deficit reduction and not just simply extend a series of prior tax cuts that aren't necessarily working well. A second point is that I think we need to make progressive changes in our tax system. I think the child tax credit improvements that you're suggesting in the legislation under consideration right now are a nice step in the right direction. I think we can afford to be even more generous with children and with the earned income tax credit while collecting more from those at the top who can really afford it. A third principle is efficiency. I think that we didn't get a lot of bang for the buck in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in terms of how much revenue we lost relative to how much investment and other useful things we encouraged. And there's some things like the R&D provisions that are actually discouraging benefits to greater society from research and development if we're having to amortize rather than expense that. And then finally, a fourth consideration that I think is really near and dear to my heart and to your work and to Senator Whitehouse's work is ensuring that the U.S. can work with partner countries abroad to address some of these global collective action problems in both climate change and international tax competition.
According to the Hill, the House Budget Committee did not take measures to protect systems like Medicare and Social Security this week when they advanced a big piece of legislation. This bill would help find a solution to the government's budget. The committee approved the bill 22-12, with 3 Democrats joining Republicans in passing the measure. The commission would create a report and write legislation aimed at improving the government's fiscal condition. After the markup, Budget Chair Jody Arrington said, Speaker Mike Johnson is committed to the commission and wants to attach a bill to the 2024 fiscal appropriations legislation. Arrington recently told reporters, let's look at this unfunded liability that's going to bankrupt the country, and let's come up with a plan that will give our children the same freedom and opportunities we've had. According to roll call, Democrats are generally opposed to the bill because they see it as a way for funding to be cut for programs like Social Security and Medicare. Ranking Member Brendan Boyle asked members to vote to increase the money going into Medicare and Social Security so the systems could be funded for the rest of the century. On average, Social Security checks were around $1,710 in November. However, this does not specifically address retirees with a middle-income background. So, for example, if a middle-class retiree earned the median household income of $74,580 and retired at age 65, their Social Security benefit would be approximately $1,900 per month. Waiting until age 66 and 6 months would increase that to $1,985 each month, and then waiting until age 70 would result in a monthly benefit of $2,696. Despite the shrinking number of Americans identifying as middle class, it is still the majority. Approximately 52% of Americans consider themselves middle class. Social Security generally replaces only about 40% of pre-retirement income, and retirees need 70 to 80% to maintain their standard of living, while 87% of people age 60 and up have some retirement savings. Only 52% feel the retirement saving strategy is on track. Social Security is a significant income source for many retirees, with 92% of those age 65 and up relying on it. There are many living expenses recipients have to worry about, with the average rent at $1,700, Medicare Part B premiums at least $174 per month, and weekly groceries costs around $80. So when you add these costs, the average Social Security check for a middle-class retiree may not be sufficient. But there is some different news for the housing market. According to Fannie Mae, the housing market will change faster than expected, with mortgages dipping below 6% later this year. That's as the Federal Reserve has signaled a pivot away from tight monetary policy, sending bonds yields lower, along with other borrowing costs. After hitting 8% in October, the average 30-year fixed rate has already fallen to 6.60% as of Thursday, from 6.66% in the prior week. And Fannie Mae sees a steeper decline, predicting a rate of 5.8% by the fourth quarter of this year and 5.5% by the end of 2025. That's down from its December forecast of 6.5% for late 2024 and 6.1% for late 2025. That's when many homeowners stay on the sidelines, as mortgage rates jumped in 2022 and last year, choosing to keep low-interest home loans they secured before the Fed's rate hiking campaign. As tumbling rates decrease, more homeowners are back to the market. It's expected to bring more inventory to supply, starve buyers, and spur more activity. Fannie Mae revised its 2024 forecast for total home sales to an annualized rate of 4.96 million. That is up from its prior estimate of 4.79 million. Total housing starts are seen at 1.37 million this year, and Fannie Mae now expects its home price index to increase 3.2% this year, after previously estimating a 2.8% uptick. Well, my great and beautiful friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. My dearest friends, thank you so much for being part of this community. Every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaways, all you have to do is click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways. Thank you, and have a wonderful and very blessed week.